Hi students. In this video we will be talking about the slicing in tuple, and we'll also be handling few concepts of nesting tuple, which you will definitely going to, it will definitely going to increase the interest, because there are new things which you will going to learn today that I'm assuring you of. And apart from that, we'll also be doing some programs which are related to tuples only, in which the CBSE wants you to do. So first of all, what do we mean by the term called as slicing? Slicing is a feature when you need to extract some part from the iterable object. When you don't want to extract anything just as it is, but just some part of an iterable object, then you call it slicing. If I just give you a simple example through the small representation over there, suppose I have a tuple called as A, and it has the following elements in it. So I have 1, 5, 2, 6, 7, 2, 6, 5, 5, 8, 0, 1, 4, 2, 3. Now that means every iterable object can be when we need to extract the elements from the iterable object, we always start from the memory location 0, which means when you start from the memory location 0, you are starting from 0 and going till 14, because there are 15 elements in this particular iterable object or a tuple. Okay. Similarly, if you want to extract in the reverse order, then there is a reverse numbering which is given for the location, using which you can actually extract the information. So if I just show you how this happens, please have a look. The last element, which was 3, which was supposedly having a positive indexing number of 14, is also having a negative indexing number of -1, then going to -2, -3, -4, and so on. So if I just give you and take the similar kind of example, let's see how do we work with the indexing, because indexing is something which is again interesting topic. And apart from that, I mean, how do we need to extract specific number of elements? So with indexing, how do we use slicing concept? So if I take a tuple called as, say, 10, 3, 4, 1, 2, 67 and 77 and 86. Okay, so let me just have few elements which are there in a tuple. Let's see how it works. So when I'm saying print, I need to print the value of t, but I don't want to print everything as it is. So when I'm saying I just need T5, so you should know that T5 means, because the indexing stays starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this should give me the answer #67. Let us take another example. If I'm talking about a negative indexing, and if I say print, say minus, let me say -4. So what does that mean? -4 means this becomes -1, this becomes -2, this becomes -3, and this becomes -4. So accordingly I shall get the answer 2. Okay, so if we just execute our program and we see, we'll get the answer 67 and 2. So basically this way we just go as far as a specific element is concerned. Now we'll talk about a proper slicing when we are talking about extracting a range of elements. So when I'm saying, now this, when you specify just one index value over there, it extracts one specific value stored at that index number. Now if I'm just trying to change it, and if I'm saying print and I'll say t, so we do have 2 colons over there, and when we say 1:6, okay, so when I'm just saying 1:6, that simply means that I'm starting from the index number 1, which means this is 0, this is 1, but I'm not going till 6, I'm going till 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is something which I will be getting, but because remember, this is my answer, so this answer has to be again in the form of a tuple. So when I say the answer, my answer will be displayed just in the form of a tuple. So if I try to execute this is unexpected, because I think I've done, oh yeah, I just forgot to mention the round bracket. So these are small things that basically happen. Okay, so you can see the answer that we are having over there, because it's a tuple, so it is extracting the elements of the tuple, therefore your final answer is also a tuple. That's what you're supposed to remember. Now if I say I just modify it and I say print t and I say 1 colon 7 colon 2. Now, can you see in the previous example, I just did not use the third value or the third number after the colon, but here I've used. So this is an indication that by default this was 1, which means the step value after the value which was there at index number 1, I want to jump automatically to 2, then to 3, then to 4. But here this means that after you're printing the value 1, that means 3, I want you to print jump 2, so this is 1, then I don't want you to go to 2, you should go to 3. That means jump by 2 values. So 1, 2, 3. Therefore, I will get the answer 1. Then again, jump by 2 values. So 1, 2, 3, 67. Okay. So it should be less than 7. Therefore, it should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Less than 7. Because after 67, it has to be 86. So when we try to execute, you will see that this is what I'm getting as the answer. I think I'm again forgetting the round bracket. So that happens when we are doing and writing the program. So you can see this is the answer. Same way, if I would like to display the tuple elements in the reverse order, what am I supposed to do? Reverse order is very simple. Just say this and simply use -1 at the end. So when you're doing -1 at the end, automatically the value, the starting index and the negative index, the starting and the ending index is taken from the right hand side, not from the left hand side, because that way your Python is smart enough. Okay, so automatically you will going to see this value in the reverse order. So you will see the answer as hash, and then you will have 86, 77, 67, 2, 1, 4, 3, 10. So this is how we basically work, and when I'm executing, this is how I'm getting the answer also. Okay, so that is negative indexing. So let's see a few examples. If you've understood these examples, we're going to just quickly see how it's also giving us the similar kind of examples. So if we have a tuple like this, if I'm just putting a colon, that means I want to extract all the elements, so all the elements are printed. When I'm saying colon 5, by default, always remember that the starting index is always 0. So 0 to less than 5, which means 0 to 4. Therefore 0 to 4 is 1, 5, 2, 6, 7. Therefore you'll get this. 1 to 5 means start from 1, go till 4. So 5, 2, 6, 7. When you say 6, so 6 and you're not providing the last element, that means you start from 6, go till the end. So 6, 5, 5, just see these numbers and you will be able to easily understand it. Similarly, when you say colon 2, that means start from the positive value but jump by 2 elements every time. So after 1, I need to print 2. After 2, I need to print 7. After 7, I need to print 6. Okay. So I'm going to have the answer 1, 2, 7, 6 and so on. Same thing I've already discussed. Negative I've done. Same way we're going to have a negative. So the moment you have a negative number, you are supposed to remember that the slicing is not done from the left hand side, but it is done from the right hand side, because just see the negative. So after the first value, which is 3, that means this 3, we're going to jump to after skipping the 3 value. So you're going to have 1 value, 2 value, and this is the third value. So after 3, you're going to have 1. After 1, skip by 3 value, 1, 2 and 3. So your answer will be 5. And then after 5, 1, 2 and 3, you're going to have the answer as 2. And then again skip by 3 values and again 2. So 1, 2 and 3. And then we are out. Therefore, you're going to have this value. Okay. So that's simple enough. I think the diagram will make it, has already made it clear. So you can always practice this part. Nested tuple means when you're having a tuple containing either another tuple or a tuple containing a list or a tuple containing a dictionary. How are we supposed to read it? Please have a look at this diagram. So this is my first element of the tuple A, which means its subscript is 0. This is my second element of the tuple, which means its subscript is 1. This is the third element of the tuple. 89 is not within anything, but it is again the fourth element, which means the subscript number is 3. And finally, the fifth element is having the subscript number 4. But when I need to extract specifically from the first element say the value 4 or the value 5, then see how it works. So this becomes from the first subscript I need to extract the first value, which is at location number 0. So similarly, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Now this 5 will not be 4, this will be 0, because here we are changing the element number. So this becomes 1, this becomes 2. Same way we have 0, 1 and 2, and here we don't have a concept of 0, 1 because it's the only value. Therefore, if the question comes, what is A01? So this first subscript simply means I am talking about the first element of the tuple. So within the first element of the tuple, I am talking about what is there at subscript number 1. So therefore the answer is 4, and that's what we should get. Let's take another example. I did not want to show the answer, but let's see. A is 1, so this is 1, and then we are having 2, so 2 means this part. So this is having the answer 51. Let's take another example. What is A3? So A3 is 0, 1, 2, 3. Therefore my answer is simply 89. Similarly, if I would have said A1, I would have got the answer 5, 22, 51. But what is A22? So go to 2 and 2 value, which means the answer is 6. So I hope you understood how it's actually extracted. And let's look at the example. So if I'm having a nested tuple and it has 2 list elements and it has 1 tuple element also inside it, and the other integer values, I would just like to display only that element which itself is also a tuple. Okay, so I am just checking, and I hope you remember the tuple keyword, which we have already done in the previous video also. So if you just extract the first element, so when you say for I in A, the first element is taken as 1, 4, 5, 3 in I. You are making a change. You're just checking whether it is a tuple. No, it is not a tuple. So you will see the answer not a tuple. In the second case, yes, it is a tuple. So this condition will become true and you will print 5, 22, 51. And this is what the answer will be. Let's see few interesting programs of tuple, and the similar examples are something that you all will be able to easily do it. So if the question says I have to find a program to find the maximum and the minimum value in a tuple, see, you just use max and min function. That's a very simple way of doing. We have just done it in the previous video. Find the max, find the min, you will get the maximum value. But the second method, if it's a programming method and somebody would like to try it using the programming method, what you do is take the first element and assume it is maximum or it is minimum, and compare it with the rest of the elements. So check how is 3 related to 6. If 3 is smaller than 6, that means this is not the maximum element, but right now it is false. So similarly, if this is false, that means 6 is a maximum element. Now 6 is less than 12. Yes, that means 6 is not the maximum element, it is a 12. Similarly, 12 is compared with 56 and so on. Therefore, the loop says that you have a tuple with you, you are assuming both maximum and minimum are a 0. Just check if the first element is less than this one, that means this is not the maximum element ai. So you are changing the value of ma. Similarly, if mi, that means the minimum is greater than ai, you are basically checking for this case, that means this is the minimum element, and hence you are finding it. But I would suggest children that there is no need to make your program complicated if you're not able to understand the simple thing of writing a code and writing a program. What is important for us is, if we have a simple way of finding out the answer for these questions using the built-in functions, we should always go ahead with that until and unless it is specifically mentioned in the question. It's because board never specifies that do a particular question using this method or that method. It's completely up to you. So whichever way you people feel comfortable with, use those methods. The second example is mean. Now we know what is mean. Mean means sum of all the elements divided by the total number of elements. So obviously, how do we find the sum of all the elements of a tuple? We have a sum function. When we have the sum function, and how do we know total number of elements? Using the len function. So when we find the sum, we find the len, we find the mean. It's as simple as that. But if I have to do it in a programming way, which is the second method, again do the traversing, find the length, find the sum and divide it by the length. So these are simple straightforward questions that you can always be in a position to do. The next one we have is searching for an element in a tuple. See, when we search for an element in a tuple, we can always use the index function also, okay? But remember, index always generates an exception, if you remember, if the number is not found. So therefore, what are you supposed to do? You're always supposed to handle the exception. If you don't remember and you're not able to recall the index function, please see my previous videos, or just go through the playlist. You will be able to see the index function description over there, and you will be able to understand. So what does an index function do? It basically returns the specific index number where a given number is found. So you're supposed to, and in case a number is not there, it will going to raise an exception. So you can handle that exception and you can say the number not found. Linear search. What is a linear search? Linear search simply means that you have a data which is stored in a line, that means one after the other, and one by one you're checking whether the number is existing or not. So if I just look at this particular example, I am looking for a number 2. So what is linear search? You check whether 2 is equal to this element or not. No, go on to the next one. No, go on to the next one. No, go on to the next one, and yes, you found. When you find the number, just come out and say you found the number, otherwise not. So what is a linear search method? Say for example, if I'm looking for a number n is equal to int, and then I'm saying input, enter a number, okay. And now I'm just finding out a simple loop, and I'm just checking whether the number is found or not. So here I'm going to use loop with else. So if I say for I in t, okay, so just simply say that if the number n is equal to I, just simply say that the number is not found, okay, that the number is found, I'm sorry. So you'll simply say print found and break the loop. There is no need to continue further, okay. If you don't find, then you just continue. And suppose you're not able to find the number, just use else over there and simply say print number not found. So in case you're not able to, I hope you remember the else concept with for, that if for completes all its iteration and not even once the break gets executed, automatically else will be executed. But in case even once the break is executed, this part will not be executed. So if I'm executing my program and I'm looking for a number, for example 66, okay, so 66 is showing me what am I printing? int. I think I pressed enter key a little early, so let me just re-execute my program. Okay, so if I'm saying 66 and I'm pressing enter, the number not found. Similarly, if I'm just executing it one more time and I'm saying function F5, and suppose this time I'm looking for a number 77, I'll just say the number found. Okay, so simple linear search method where you're extracting every element one by one and you're checking with this. Okay, so this is a similar program which I've just done a couple of minutes back. Now, this is something, the most important part of tuple, where I don't know, some of you might be knowing, some of you might not be knowing this. So it's good thing to know one interesting fact in tuple. So suppose you have an element in a tuple which is a list. That means you have a list of tuple. You have a dictionary of a tuple of dictionary, a tuple of list. That means, so you basically, when you have a tuple of list, that means each element is either a list or any other mutable object. Then please remember that in that kind of situation, whatever functions are allowed with list or a mutable object will also be applicable in tuple, which means, I'll just show you an example. The first element is a list. The second element is also a list. The third element is also a list. We know a tuple is immutable. So as a whole, I cannot delete the first element. I cannot delete the second element. I cannot delete the third element, but I can delete one element from the first element. Why? Because my first element itself is a list, and list is mutable. So as an individual element, the values inside a mutable object can be modified, but as a tuple as a whole, I cannot change it. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to tell you. So let's take an example. If I'm going to A2, what is A2? 0, 1, 2. So I'm going to this place, 61, 43, 101. And from there, I want to pop 1. Pop 1 means I want to delete 43. This is allowed. Why it is allowed? Because here I'm directly talking about the list. But then that list being a part of A is fine. So when I try to print A, I will going to see the answer also. So when I'm saying A, I will see 61, 101. Okay, remember this 43 is vanished. So this is an indirect way of removing one of the elements if in a tuple, if a tuple is nothing but a tuple of a list. Okay, so then tuple contains the list. So let's take another example. So this part is definitely allowed, but the tuple as a whole cannot be modified. That's what I'm talking about, because deleting an element, a complete element, is immutable, which means if I want to delete 4, 12, 5, 2 as a complete element, that is not allowed. Okay, that means A is 0, I can't. So when I'm saying A dot pop or the last element that I need to delete, it is not allowed at all. Okay, so you will going to see an attribute error because it does not have, it will say that it does not have an attribute pop, since you're trying to use a pop function with A, which is a tuple. Okay, so that's something interesting. And let's talk about this case. So interesting thing to know is that if I'm talking about I in range, I can sort individual element inside a tuple if it is a mutable element. For example, if I'm having the first type of element is a list. Alright, so this is a list, 4, 12, 1, 2, 5, 2. I can sort this. I can individually sort this because it's also mutable. I can sort this, but as a complete tuple I can't. So can you see, I am able to sort using this function and I can get this answer. So that way it can be changed, otherwise it cannot be. But if I, similarly in this case, A of I, okay, in this particular example, you are trying to delete the first element of every element of a list, which means you are trying to delete the first element. So when you have the first element, what do you want to delete? Because pop 0, I is 0. So A of 0, you're going to A of 0. Right, when you're going to A of 0, this 4 is removed. So you are left with 12, 5, 2, therefore 12, 5, 2. Similarly, 6 you're removing, so you're left with 6, 4, 1, 6, 4, 1. Similarly, you're removing 61, 43, 101 may say you're removing 61, so you're left with 43, 101. So that's, and that's something which is an interesting feature. So I feel that, you know, now you will be able to exactly be very comfortable and confident with tuple, that what all is actually possible and what all is actually not possible. How to handle a nested tuple, how to handle a tuple of which contains a lot of list elements or the other mutable elements. So I feel that you all will be in a position now to solve any kind of programs. So if you like, children, today's video, don't forget to share and subscribe and press the like button, and have a lovely day.